Hi guys, welcome to or back to my channel. So today I just actually finished a makeup tutorial on Facebook on this look here that I partnered with another phenomenal makeup artist whose information I will link here, so make sure you go follow. And while we were filming that live video, it dawned on me how much I use from Morphe. Like whether it's lipsticks, bronzers, whatever it is, but I use a lot of Morphe products. And one particular thing that I use a lot from Morphe is actually eyeshadow palettes. And I tend to use their eyeshadow palettes on myself, on clients. I use them for eyeshadows, for blushes, even if that's not what they're actually meant for. They're just so versatile. So I wanted to go through and share with you my favorite Morphe palettes that I have in my collection at the moment, and just talk about them a little bit and maybe show like my favorite one or two shades out of each palette. So if you would like to see the eyeshadow palettes that I am currently enjoying from Morphe Morphe Cosmetics from Morphe, then continue to watch. Alright guys, so all of the palettes that I'm going to show today I believe are still available on Morphe's website, and I will link every single one of them down below if they're still available on the Morphe website or on Ulta's website. So the first one that I'm going to start with is the Morphe 35G Bronze Goals palette. It looks like this, and the name of the palette describes what you can expect from the palette. I lost the actual insert that goes in it with the names on it, but I am going to point out maybe one or two of my favorite colors from each palette. This entire palette, as you can imagine, I'm obsessed with. Like, the colors are so neutral and versatile, but as weird as it is, one of my favorite colors in this entire palette is this shade here. Kind of reminds me of a saddle from MAC, maybe a little bit darker. And then this color here, it's like the perfect like burnt terracotta color. Like these two, this is like a transition shade, and then this one here is like a crease shade for an everyday kind of look. With any of these colors here on the lid, it's like a beautiful eye look. You can't go wrong. So, and I'm not sharing these palettes in any particular order, like one is my favorite over the other. I am simply just sharing them because I honestly love each and every single one of them. Alright, so the next palette that I'm going to share is the Morphe. I'm going to stop saying Morphe because they're all Morphe. It's the 35V palette. Alright, and then still have the paper for this one. But it looks like this. And I got this palette because I'm obsessed with these colors here. Every single like bluish teal shade in this palette I'm obsessed with. And then also this like pinkish goldish color here. It's so good. I can't get enough of it. It's so pretty. It's kind of hard to see. It kind of looks washed out. It's not coming up like the true color for me right here, but it's kind of like a pinkish gold, and it is like absolutely gorgeous for like an all over the lid kind of look when you want something simple and soft. But I adore this palette simply for these like 8 colors here. Like if you're looking for a perfect blue smoky eye, like you can't go wrong. So the next palette is one that it broke the internet, like legit broke the internet, is the Morphe 350. And this is a Matte Girls kind of or neutral girl, sorry, Dream. All of these colors are just so beautiful for an everyday kind of look. And the oranges are so beautiful and they pop so quick, even on the darkest of skin tones. Every color in here can work for everybody. Like, no one is excluded from this palette. And I often use these shades here, these two at the bottom, to fill in my brows. When I don't have anything that's like a pencil or anything close by, I just take either of these two colors and like a MAC 266 angled brush and go in, and it gives me the most perfect brow ever. The next palette we're going to talk about is the 35M, and I am also, I mean, obviously I'm obsessed with all of these palettes because I have them. But part of the reason that I love this is this palette just reminds me of the forest. And it's because all of the green and oranges that are here, it reminds me of the forest. And when I want to do something like earthy yet natural, I'm going to go to this palette first. And it's a very, very decent amount of warm tone and cool tone shades. And then also, even though it has so many colors and shimmers and mattes, it did not lack on just having a neutral brown and a black. Like, when you have a palette that has a neutral brown and a black, it's kind of like you just cannot go wrong, because the sky is the limit with that palette. This one, okay, so the next palette is, I've definitely used it on my channel before, and this is the Jaclyn Hill palette. This is the very first one, and you guys are gonna see I put this palette to the test, okay? This palette is filthy because I do use it on a regular basis. Like, whenever I'm doing makeup, I use one of the colors in here. And then this is a palette that I take on like vacations or trips, or if I'm going somewhere and I plan on actually doing eye makeup, because of the versatility. It's so neutral, but you've got options, you know? And one of my favorite colors in this entire palette is this shade here. It is called Pool Party. Like, why is that so good and vibrant? I just want to put it everywhere. That's so good. It's so good and bright. So Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette, they definitely did their thing on this one. And once this is gone and I've used up every color, which I'm pretty sure I will, I hope that it's still available to purchase another one. And since we're on collaborations with Morphe, I couldn't make a video about my favorite Morphe eyeshadow palettes without adding in the James Charles palette. I do have the larger version, the original one. And, okay, I know I said I put the Jaclyn Hill one to the test, but I wear this bad boy out. Like, Alright, so this one is the James Charles palette. So first off, this color here, obviously, is one of my favorites. It's like a bronze. I use it a lot for an all-over eyeshadow look. If I just want to dust like my face powder color or my contour color in my crease, and do this color all over the lid with mascara and go. And then also this shade here, I use almost every day as a blush. This is my all-time favorite color in this palette, and he should have came out with this with Morphe as a blush by itself, and those super big like round pans that they have like for their bronzers and contours and stuff like that, because this color is amazing. I would repurchase this palette all over again once I hit pan on this color here. It's like perfect. And then it was another purple shade here, and I don't know what I did to it, but it's sitting in the makeup room. I broke it. But this is the James Charles collaboration with Morphe, and I love this palette so much. All right, I've got 3 more palettes to show you guys. So the next one is the 3503 Fierce by Nature palette. And if you know Morphe and you know this palette, you already know which one I am going to, you already know which one I'm going to go to first. The little sheet with the names fell, but we'll get that later. Alright, so I haven't used this palette as much as I should have. But what I have used in this palette is this beautiful sparkly gold. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That is so good for the people. I'm obsessed with this palette for this color. Like, again, this is the Morphe 3503. Like, this color, I just, like, who can get enough of it? I love this color so much. It's kind of like a glittery kind of feel to it. But I feel like if you apply, and this is what it looks like. If you apply it the same way that you apply like glitters or like a shimmer eyeshadow and use like Fix Plus or like the Morphe setting spray with it, it goes on so beautiful. And not to mention that this entire row is like, what? It's so good. This entire row of like the oranges and this pink is like, if you don't have it, I'm telling you, you need this palette. It's so good. Coming down to it. Alright, so the next one is going to be probably, alright, so it's in my top Morphe shadow palettes, but it is one of my least used simply because it is very cool toned for me. But the execution of it is like perfect. And this is the Morphe did it again. This is the 35F palette. It looks like this. So all of these shadows on top are shimmer shadows. Yes, and then the very last row here are all matte eyeshadow. So you've got a ton of shadows for like transition colors, brow shades, for a smoky eye. Like you can like do the business with just the bottom row of this palette, or with adding one of these just like as a pop-up highlight or colors on the lid. It's still so versatile, but for myself, it's not too often that I wear a lot of cool tone colors, but it is still like a perfect palette if you're looking for something that's easy, that's simple, and more towards, can I talk? The cool tone shades. So this is the 35F. Alright, and then last but certainly not least is the eyeshadow palette that I'm currently wearing on my eyes now. And this is the 35C Everyday Chic palette. And this palette, y'all, I dropped another one. It's so good. Okay, so this is the shadow palette that I'm currently wearing now. And I know it kind of like, it's cool tone, just like the palette that I was just showing you guys. But I feel like the colors of the cool tones in this palette, a little bit more of my style, my drift, whereas in like it's a little deeper as far as like the green tones and everything, and then it's a little bit more matte tones in here for me, or matte shadows in here. And then also my obsession in this palette is going to be this middle shade here. I mean, I just don't know what Morphe is doing to me. This color is so stinking good. So it kind of gives the same kind of like gritty, glittery feel as the previous one that I showed from the 3503 palette. Yes. but it is more like a rose or pink tone. And once again, it is so good, and I would just apply it how you would apply an eyeshadow that's like a glitter shadow. Yeah, so that's the 35C palette from Morphe. Alright guys, so that is my current favorite Morphe eyeshadow palette. Why do I sound so uncertain? Okay. Alright guys, so those are my favorite Morphe eyeshadow palettes at the moment. As you can see, it's a lot of versatility in the palettes, and there's a lot of colors. And you get a decent amount of shadow for typically ranging between $25 for 35 colors. Like, I feel like that you can't beat, and the colors, the payoff of the colors it's so good. So if there are any eyeshadow palettes that you are like obsessing over right now for Morphe, please don't forget to comment down below. If you enjoyed my video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.